Welcome, friends, and welcome to the Collector Showcase, the PC Journey. I am DPZ, and with me I have Mama Breaks, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Dennis. I'm excited about this.
So this is for people won't know this, but this is round 2 for us. So we recorded one a week ago, and my children bombarded the back end of the episode. So it's just a bunch of my kids running around. One of them took their shirt off, was running around. That was fun. So yeah, we decided to do another one because I don't know, it's too much work to edit all that out. There was a lot of really cool stuff that we had. And I want to still walk through a lot of that with you, Stephanie, because you had a really cool story. So with that, as we talked about before, this is this PC Journey Collector Showcase is about collecting cards and your journey, how you put together your collections, how you curate them. And I mean, they're not always just worth a ton of money. It might just be more of a sentimental value, what drove you to buy these cards or have these cards. But most importantly, what got you involved in cards? Mama Breaks, the whole thing. Like, how did you get interested and what's your, I wouldn't say origin story, but what turned you on to sports cards?
So I would say my love for cards started when I was about 8 or 9 years old, Pokemon cards. So I really loved the TV show, and trading and playing with the cards was something that was popular that was going on at school and amongst my cousins. I was living with my cousins at the time, and we would just, buy packs whenever we could and sell them, and not sell them, trade them amongst each other, and kind of make makeshift binders to store them in and all that. So that was a lot of fun. And again, I grew out of it a little bit, but once I started, playing sports, playing softball, I met my stepdad around the same age, and he took me to my first Dodger game, and I just fell in love with the game of baseball. So once I was a little older and I began to understand the game a little better, playing a little more competitively, I just fell in love with Eric Gagne, Adrian Beltre, Sean Green. I was all in as a middle schooler. So I was always, wearing Dodger gear and was just a fan.
So Sean Green, he had a four home run game, right? He was one of the ones that had. I know Mike
Mhm.
Cameron and Mariner had, but if I remember Sean Green, I think that was his claim to fame. He was a good ball player too, but he had 4 home run game at one time. Pretty cool. So the Dodgers are a big deal, and Adrian Beltre. So did you collect any Adrian Beltre cards in the beginning, or was it just Gagne and?
No, I would say when I really started getting into the card collecting was Kershaw's rookie year. So 2008 Topps update, like I said, those are the first packs I started ripping because I just happened to come across them at Target, I'm sure, and I picked up some packs, even the Dodgers team set. I had a couple of those too. So I wasn't really looking to collect any other players other than the Dodgers. So I just kind of put them in my binder. I literally put them in my binder to show them off, kind of thing, or up in my locker. But it's not something that I knew. I didn't know that rookie cards were more valuable. I wasn't really paying attention to, at the time, the only parallels they had were like the gold foils and very rare to hit. So I don't think I ever got anything that good. But yeah, that's as close as I got to sports cards back then, but I didn't really get into it until quarantine
kind of reintroduced you. So is that when the Mama Breaks name came about? Is that when you got into breaking? Like what brought you into breaking? What drew you to that?
Yeah, so funny story is I actually decided, well, during quarantine, the work-life balance is so tough. Like for the first time in my life, I was working from home, and having to, kind of teach online was such a weird experience for me at first. I was super shy about it, and I found myself stressed having to learn how to teach with a 1-year-old at home. Can you imagine? Like we couldn't even do this, do an interview with kids. So you can imagine how tough that was. And I was looking for, a little bit of escapism at the time, I would say. I was trying new hobbies. I bought an air fryer like everyone else in the world did, I think, at the time too. So I was craving some type of
Yeah.
escapism already. And my stepdad's birthday was coming up. So I thought, what do you get someone who has everything? I thought something that could tie like our relationship together, some type of connection from him would be a nice sports card,
Right.
because I heard, that sports cards were beginning to become more popular. And I went on eBay and I just fell down the rabbit hole. I mean, there are some cards that were unbelievable to me. They were gorgeous. I had no idea they existed. All these Prism basketball parallels, I had no idea. And I thought to myself, I really, really love this. I love art. To me, it's like art. And I love the Dodgers and I want something to escape. I want something that I can possibly do with my kids. So I decided to start collecting.
You started
And
collecting. So what got you into the breaking piece of it? Was that your way to start collecting as you enter into breaks and get cards that way?
so I obviously didn't know what breaking was at first, but I started doing like searching up sports cards on Instagram, on TikTok, like on all social channels to just kind of familiarize myself with the community more and see if I can learn a little more. I was craving kind of that like information that you can't just Google. I mean, I haven't Googled it recently, but back at that time, you Google sports cards, you didn't get much information,
Right.
And I came across some breaking channels, and that's when I really started learning about breaking. I became a regular in a particular room,
Hmm.
and that's where I learned about breaking. And my husband was like, you kind of do that already as a teacher. You're just facilitating a break, and you really enjoy it. Like I was obsessed. My husband will tell you, and he's like, you should try to do this. And he kind of pushed me into it, and now it's Mom Bricks.
Well, it's like we talked before. Your husband's not into sports cards, but you are. It's usually
Mhm.
flip flopped, right? I imagine it doesn't happen very often. I wish it would happen more often. I wish it was just both husband and wife being into it like that. But it's unique. Talk to me about how's that? What kind of dynamic does that present? Does he go with you to the sports card shows, like just card shows in general? Does he? How's that work?
Oh yeah, I love to share this because this is like a sudden realization I had this summer is that he did have. I just think I didn't have hobbies before this, honestly, really. Like nothing specific anyway. Like yeah, we would go to games too. Going to sports games was a huge part of our dating era. Like all we would do was go to Dodger games. Like that's why that whole like to my early 20s, those years are very special to me because we went to so many Dodger games. So we already share that like passion for sports. But his hobby, I guess, is fitness and like working out. And I wasn't always very understanding of that. I'm like, why do you have to go to the gym every day? I just didn't get it. I didn't try to get it now that I think of it, but he's been so supportive of this from like day one. He's just been there asking me what I need, helping me with whatever I need. Her the encouragement is the most important thing I think I want to highlight is that I wouldn't the person that I was before I started doing all this is so many people that know me from high school or even right before I started doing this are like, is that you? You're the person on there talking on your Instagram and your social media? And I'm
I
like,
can't
yeah. They're
believe
like,
it.
we had no idea you were that like enthusiastic and energetic. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just this has brought this out of me. And because my husband has been encouraging me to do it so much, like he's the one that's like, you should set up at a card show. And I'm like, I don't know if and he's just like, just do it. So all of this has been a journey for me, and like I've grown so much. I think I could say.
Right, right, definitely. Yeah, it's cool. It's giving you an opportunity to get out of your own, kind of get out of your own way in a way. Just come out of your skin. Um,
hmm
so who are the players that who's someone that gets you excited now? Who do you like to collect right now? Like, what's your PC consist of? Is it consist of just Dodger players? I know you talk about the Clayton Kershaw, that 2008 Topps update. But is there anything else that you're excited about? Like any new prospects? Is there baseball, football? I mean, you're mainly a baseball person, which I totally touches me because I'm a major baseball person too. But do you have anybody currently that you collect that you're
Yeah,
excited about?
so yeah, so for when I first came in, I like that you mentioned that I just started scooping up like as many Kershaw rookies as I can. So I have a lot of his like base Stadium Club stuff, Topps Update Gold foil. I have the Bowman paper and all that. But one thing when I got in that made no sense to me is how underappreciated pitchers are in
Right,
the hobby. Like I was
right,
like, how unbelievably cheap are some of these new guys that are so good? So
right.
someone who at the time, was big in my opinion was Dustin May. I started picking up a lot of his stuff, like Topps Chrome Black stuff, Topps
Right,
Chrome
right.
Auto stuff. So I have a gold um, rookie auto of Dustin May, and someone particularly who I've been following from the very beginning of his career is Julio Urias, the Mexican
Mm,
pitcher from
yeah,
Sinaloa.
yeah.
Yeah, he's my guy ever since he came up. Like I remember going to a ton of his games when I was pregnant with my oldest son, and like have making sure like it has to be him pitching, and I have to sit like field level no matter what. So he's my guy. He plays with so much heart. This is one of my favorite cards that uh, um, show your
Nice.
slabs. Actually, they made this for me so that I can wear it. It's a
Very
gold.
cool. I like the glasses. He just kind of has this intimidation to him when he's up
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah. He plays with heart, and my first Dodgers World Series win was 2020, and he had the save. So that to me was the cherry on top for my fandom of his and following him as long as I have. And being a Mexican player is also a special connection for me. I'm half Mexican, my other half is Salvadorian. So being able to collect Julio now is very important to me, especially having those pieces for my kids. And I've been on the hunt because I know they exist. I need a Julio Fernando Valenzuela dual autograph. That's what I've been looking for.
There's Julio Fernando. Okay, there's two of them. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Fernando Valenzuela is probably
Yeah.
the most famous Mexican
Oh,
pitcher.
easily.
He
Yeah,
started,
easily.
yeah,
Yeah. When he looks to
Fernando
the sky,
Mania.
when he Fernando Mania 1980, 81 and all that.
Mhm.
Very cool. So you really enjoy, oh, you're being called. You really enjoy Julio Arias, right? Arias? Is it Arias?
Urias.
Avidas. Okay.
Urias. That's fine.
Arias. I like how you say it better with the proper accent and pronunciation. So, is there any like prospects coming up that you're into? I mean, you're a big Dodger fan, which is cool. Dodgers happen to they're always putting a product on the field that's really exciting to watch, or they're going and they're finding the best players. Is there anybody that you're excited about coming up in the ranks prospect wise for the Dodgers? Anybody you're collecting that you're kind of getting in on early? I know you want to give away your secrets, but I'm sure you pay attention to their farm system and pipeline and the prospect game for them. Is there anybody that we should be thinking about? Is it from a baseball prospecting
Uh,
perspective? Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot in there. A lot of P's.
I don't know if there's anybody that anybody should be thinking about because I just said I like pitchers. I don't know if you should be collecting pitching prospects.
So you're just looking for pitchers.
That wouldn't be the best
You're not
advice
looking
for
for a
anyone.
hitter. So your advice is don't listen to me. I like pitchers. Well, it's
Yeah,
perfect because
exactly.
this show isn't about prospecting. It's about PC and cards. But I do think baseball. That's the one thing about baseball collecting, which is a major part of what I do. Most of my collection's baseball. Is that it's about prospecting. The prospecting game in baseball is like a whole thing. It's like its own little thing. And Bowman prospecting is a big deal. And I think that so when we talk about baseball cards, it's hard not to talk about that. My problem with prospecting was, well, you're talking your pitching love is what hurts you, right? My love is like I can't sell the darn things because I want to hold on to them because I think they're going to be something special. So I'll buy Marco Luciano or I'll buy all these different players, but I'll sell them because I'll want to keep them and I won't want to ride it out because I'll get hurt. Um, So the key to prospecting is selling, once they get called up, right when they get called up, or maybe right after they have a really good first week or something like that. Or once they start excelling into different levels of the minor league system is when you're supposed to sell them. But I'm always like, oh, they're going up the system. This is scary. They're going to be amazing. This is when you want to hang on to it. Why sell now? You'd sell, 5 years from now and they're like, 2-time MVPs, which is not going to happen because it's just so rare. And even if they are, Bryce Harper, their cards don't command. So I'll dovetail that back kind of into why we talk about PC and card collecting and all that. Sometimes it's about wanting the cards that are popular, wanting cards that they're going to be consistently valuable. And then sometimes they're just not, like I went right into Ken Griffey Jr. and all the stuff that I love, and Kobe Bryant, Mike Trout. Mike Trout's probably my biggest risk, really, if you think about it. But it became more about, getting cards that mean something versus, and if I'm going to have a little prospect game, getting the best cards of that particular person. So that's the best chance, but mostly cards that matter to you. And so you're a pitcher person. So that's great. Do you have any cards that you just like, I could never live without? I know we talk about if you got to grab however many cards if something's happening, but I want to use a different tactic. I want to ask you, are there any cards that you just you don't feel like you can ever reobtain? Like once they're gone because you just never would sell.
Yeah, that's hard. Like never would sell and never reobtain is like unless they're one of ones, I don't know if there is any card that that you cannot reobtain. But there's definitely some that I've picked up. It's with certain connections in mind that I have that I wouldn't sell. And one of them being a card that, like, while I was rushing, could not find, but it's the
Okay.
maybe you can have the clip of when I showed it last time. But it's like
let's talk about the card though. Yeah, because you showed it was a really cool card. So it was
No, I mean like one in particular is like the Strata, the game used Kershaw patch auto.
Yeah.
On the acetate, where exactly what game he wore the patch in. And there's just so much, so much story to the actual game when I looked it up, in close connection with me and I like to say connection, not really, like not relationship with Kershaw, doesn't know who I am, but I have special connections with him, certain games that I went to that I remember that were pivotal in his career. So one being the playoff game against the Cardinals that he blew his start. And it was like heartbreaking for me. That was actually my first Dodger playoff game that I've ever been to. And I'm not going to go into like what an awesome experience that was for me, the highs and the lows of it. But this patch on this Strata card that I have, was the first time he faced the Cardinals after that game. Yeah. So I love it. And he went 8, shut him out.
Yeah, really good game. I mean, that's a pivotal moment for him because he had that reputation in the playoffs that kind of haunted him. So it's kind of nice to see him, especially nice to see him win in 2020. That was kind of like a monkey off his back.
It's nice that you mentioned that because this is another card that's really important to me for that reason. Watching him win in 2020, this is a Stadium Club Chrome white pearl refractor out of 20. So
wow, that's a really cool looking card. Stadium Club is just underrated. They have some terrific cards. I mean, just amazing cards. And those SGC slabs. What do you think of SGC versus PSA and everything else? I feel like they have great. I mean, the SGC slab feels different in the hand than any other slabs. It just does. PSA commands the market. I get it. There's the market difference, but I just think the slabs just present well. They look great. They look really like prestigious. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to PC, I'm not really, first of all, grading is never my first reaction. Like, should I grade this? It's always like, let me enjoy it how it is. But if I decide I want to grade it, I'm going to go by the aesthetics. So to me, SGC, like I didn't grade this card, but at the moment, PSA was closed. So no one was really grading stuff in PSA. And of course, I wanted it in a 10, so it didn't matter to me that it was in an SGC slab. But to me, like paper looks great, way better in SGC than PSA. And anything chrome, like modern stuff, I can't really stand in SGC, to be honest. So it's like, to me, it's like whatever slab it looks the best in.
Interesting. Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't think about that. I was thinking about taking someone like I have a couple cards, like the first card. They're the only cards that kind of survived. I have a bunch of them that survived, but they're not all that great. But they're like the best conditioned ones that I kept in nice holders from when I was younger.
Mhm.
They're like it.
Okay.
They're two very insignificant cards: a 90 leaf Kick Griffey Jr. and a 89 hoops David Robinson rookie card, but they're probably both 8s or 9s at best. At best. But I was just thinking I'll just use SGC for those because there's a lot of them. It doesn't really matter, and I just it's kind of a cool way to encapsulate something special. I like talking about that. What's that card you still have? The very first card you ever bought. Some of us, when we were really young, we have them, and so we keep them. And those are kind of the cards I talk about and we talk about. But yeah, I just sometimes SGC, just like you said, is a PC fit. It makes sense. It kind of works. It really does work. I never thought about Chrome and PSA versus paper in SGC. That's not something I've ever thought about. That's actually really interesting. Cool.
Take a look at the Topps Griffey rookies in SGC. There's nothing more gorgeous to me. I pick those up whenever I see them.
Top Griffey's
I
rookies,
have a
like
few.
the top traded ones.
Yeah, because it's like the
Yeah,
white border against the black mat is so. It's like it's literally in a tuxedo to me,
it
and the
looks
white border
good. I
just
never thought about that. Wow.
complements it.
No, that's really cool. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I pulled one out of a box. I bought a bunch of like just boxes, and my son and I were kind of ripping through, and we found an 89 Topps. I mean, it came in the full set. It's actually not a bad version and copy of it. I might just have it slabbed just for him. But yeah, it's 20 some bucks a pop. It's not so bad. You can spend it, and it's like, yeah, it's just for fun. It's a collecting thing, right? My daughter has her
Mhm.
Pokemon cards. I'm thinking, well, if we slab them, I'll just get them slabbed with SGC because, like, it's a little cheaper and you get them back fast. And she'll pick the cards that she likes. I mean, she knows enough about it, but she'll just pick whatever, and then we'll put it out there, and then she can enjoy it. But yeah, SGC kind of lends itself to the hobby. It lends itself to being a PC. I love PSA. I love Nat, and those guys are great. Most of my cards are PSA, but there's this like certain element of SGC that kind of is very appealing. And in a perfect world, everybody is kind of even, right? I was talking to Mike Geo about that. He was mentioning that, in a perfect world, everybody would just be even. Like the Beckett, SGC, and PSA would all really be the same price. It's just a matter of preference, right? But unfortunately,
Mhm.
that's not the case. Hopefully, someday that'll happen.
We're
So
getting there. I mean, PSA is doing a good job of making it more accessible, so I think
yeah,
it's
you
better at
want
this point.
it to be more like even, right? So then it's not like, okay, PSA commands this big markup. They're all the same, because they're, if we be really honest about it, I don't know. I'd like to think that it's all fairly similar, the grading aspect. It could go either way in all of them, right? You could take, I'd be an interesting experiment to take like a card that's a PSA 10 and then take it out of the holder and then submit it to Beckett and then submit the same card once again to SGC and see what happens with that card, right? And then do it again, take it out and go through the process again and see if they all get the same scores again. That would be an interesting test. It'd be a lot of work.
I know a lot of
But
people that do that. So
oh yeah, they go through and what do they learn?
I mean, it's always different, depends on the card. But I know that I've seen a lot of people do like SGC 9.5s are equal to 10, PSA 10s a lot of the time. In my experience, especially recently, BGS is a little more strict on things like centering than PSA is, whereas PSA is a little more strict on surface. And I've submitted with all three, and I think SGC is the most consistent.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I've heard that a lot too. There's a lot of growth that went on in the grading space, and I think there's a little bit of that plays into it. People just learning. Scaling up very quickly usually has its benefits, but it has its drawbacks as well, and that could be some of them right there. Okay. Cool. So if I gave you $100,000, you're a woman in this hobby. I would give you $100,000, and you have to go spend that $100,000 on cards, not on boxes to rip and wax and all that kind of stuff, on cards that you would keep. What would you buy?
That's a lot of money. I would try to put together like a all-time greatest Dodgers pitcher set. So I'd have some of the best condition possible Sandy Koufax rookies in there, Oral, Fernando Valenzuela as much as I can. I need a Jackie Robinson or two. So stuff
All
along those lines, I think. Yeah.
all-time great Dodgers
Mhm.
and
Pitching
pitching
and Jackie.
and Jackie. And you in pitchers, it's just the pitchers, huh? That's like
I mean, that's
why
just what I
why
enjoy to watch. I don't To be honest with you, like I said, Adrian Beltre was big for me, but the connections that I've had with players, with like power hitters, and it's just not the same for me. I need to see that starting pitcher grinding with the team on his back, with everybody rooting for him. I feel like the game's always about getting the win for the starting pitcher. Like the teams rallying against around him and all
Mhm.
that. To me, that's what I watch baseball for. That's what I
Yeah,
enjoy. Like
camaraderie, yeah.
I'm trying so hard to like, okay, Mookie Betts has grown on me, but collecting like Urias and Dustin May is a lot more fulfilling for me than collecting Mookie Betts. It's just
Yeah,
just
fair. That's
is.
very fair. That's very fair. Let's talk about women in the hobby for a second here. Let's talk about and shout out some
Mhm.
names of some great women in this hobby. I have 3 baby girls and they are my life and I want them to do in my mind they can do anything a man could do and not better maybe most of the time. That's a huge part of me. It's part of my life. And so this is a really cool. I love talking to you and getting to know you. So let's talk about some other people in the hobby. I'm looking forward to maybe speaking to a couple more on this series and the show. But for right now, since you're one of the first gals that I'm having from a solo perspective here, why don't we just shine a light on the ladies of the hobby and maybe talk to me about some of the people that have inspired you and women and that have inspired you in the hobby that you're feeling that you're excited about and want to promote.
Oh yeah, most definitely. When you talk about inspiration for me in this hobby and really in this industry, as Mama Breaks is my company and I'm now full time. Um, Sarah Layden of Lane Sports Cards has been key for me. I met her at the Mint Collective and I was a moderator on a panel that she was on, and she just completely blew me away, and I felt inspired to, you know, I don't know, she's just an amazing woman. Ty Fauci of Bullpen LA
Mhm.
has also been a big, big inspiration and help to me. And those, like, to me, they're trailblazers, women,
Mhm.
even, besides even being just women, trailblazers in the industry. They've done so much, and they've done so much to put together women in cards on Facebook, which is now Women in the Hobby, and the Instagram, and going out of their way to, create this presence at shows that's welcoming and really setting the stage for more women to feel included and to join. And they have so many great ideas and they're going to do so many great things. I'm grateful that they were here before me and I get to help them out as much as I can. So.
That's great. That's great. So, what do you think do you think there's going to be more? There's going to be an influx of women entering this hobby. I feel like I've seen a lot more women taking leadership in the hobby community, which has been really exciting to see. Do you see anybody doing that right now that we want to talk about and highlight?
Oh yeah, I mean, one young woman that I met at the national at the Women in the Hobby booth,
Hmm.
created by Sarah and Ty, by the way, was Kayla from Kayla Collects. She's
Kayla
19
collects.
years old. Yeah, she knows a ton about baseball. She's a huge race fan and she loves the hobby. She knows her stuff. She wants to do content and she inspires me, like, to being at that young age and having the wherewithal to be like, I can go out there, I can put myself out there and be successful with while doing something that I truly enjoy, and that she loves sports. I mean,
Mhm.
she's the future. I'm excited to see more Kayla's coming up
More
in the
Kayla's
hobby.
come around. Very cool. So
Oh yeah.
Kayla, okay, we got Ty, we got Sarah Layton. Um, Christina Species is pretty exciting. She's obviously got a
Yes.
pretty big following, being with Josh and Chris on the crossover, and
Another trailblazer. I mean, she's
yeah,
co-founded the data system
yeah.
for the hobby, I think. I don't know who doesn't use Card Ladder. I love to use Card
We
Ladder.
all do. Yeah, I've already talking. I've always spoke to Chris and Josh, and I'll work out a time to talk to Christina. She's open to jumping on here too. And boy, what a neat thing, right? I mean, their show is pretty cool. It's fun to listen to, and they have a lot of great things to say. And it's an entertaining show. But yeah, it definitely keeps everything moving and shaking in that environment. Real neat group of people. Those guys and
Oh
gals
yeah.
are. So
And Christina is also one of the first women that I've met that just completely with open arms, like, we're here, and I just felt so comfortable, like I said earlier, being in my own skin and doing all of this
Yeah.
because of Christina, because of all of them. So
Yeah.
I'm glad. I don't know why they decided to start it, but I'm glad they did.
No, it's good. You need to have that. And I think I want this show to be a show that celebrates the diversity in our hobby, the full diversity of our hobby. But really, women that are stepping up, and a lot of times better than us. Us guys out here trying to hack it out. I mean, you got a breaking company, you own a company. I don't own one. I'm just some goofball in here talking to people about PCs. But it is very cool for me to see, because I have a very much a vested interest in seeing, my daughter's hopefully coming up and collecting too at some point, and knowing that, they could have a platform if they want it, and they can do everything they want and enjoy cards just like dad enjoys cars, or my son Grayson enjoys cards. We all do it together as a family, which is cool. That, like, the Reckless Cards family, they do it as a family. That's another neat piece of it. The Reckless Cards group, they're a family doing it, which is really cool. I thought that was pretty special. So you have that whole experience you're having as a family doing it. So anything like that can pull everything back in, bring it back home, because that's it's important to keep it centered with the family and enjoy it that way. So cool stuff. Well, thanks a lot. Well, Stephanie, I appreciate you jumping in and joining us today on this call. And thanks for round two. And we got a lot of good stuff, but I think today was more about just celebrating other people, talking about some of the amazing women in this hobby, talking about your journey and your PC, talking about what matters to you. You're a Dodger fan. You love pitchers, and I know why. The camaraderie of rallying around one person and trying to be a team and help someone win. You're
It's
one
not just the starting pitchers win at all. That's not what I'm trying to say there, but starting pitching is definitely important. It's the fire that a starting pitcher has to have, it's the work ethic, all that inspires me. I want to share, I don't know how it didn't come up today. That's my favorite
Oh, that's the
card.
card. There it is. You found
This
it.
is the epitome of great pitching right here. Clayton Kershaw, Sandy Koufax. Who's
That's amazing.
both top 5 greatest Dodgers of all
Top 5,
time.
and those are game worn too, right?
Yep. As many of those I can get my hands on. I found it at the Burbank Card Show. I feel like it found me.
Found you.
So.
Well, I think and Sandy doesn't sign a whole lot of stuff. I don't think there's a whole lot of Sandy Koufax autographs.
Especially not this year. He's signed quite a bit the past couple of years, but not this year. So.
Yeah. Oh, there's a good amount of them out there.
Yeah, especially in the new product. And some like Topps Chrome Black has some nice on-card Sandy Koufax autos.
Oh, on cards.
Yeah, but he's
You're kind of targeting those ones. Those are ones you might want to try to get your hands on at some point.
I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like you said, it's like when you're curating this type of collection, you have to be real. Like, you can't go out and get everything.
No.
So I'm thinking about it.
That's good. That's good. You got to have something to look towards, and I think that's a great message too. We try to talk about that a lot on this show. Is being patient. Waiting for your opportunity where it makes sense providentially for you financially, right? We all have other bills we need to pay, and we can't just be spending all of our money on cards. So that's very important to remember.
I'm definitely looking for the wow factor, the rarity, the just like connection with me at heart. So I'm real like trying to hone in and focus on card early Kershaw autos, like 2008 to 2018-ish. So that decade of his career, and then Koufax Kershaw dual autos and Valenzuela Urias dual autos. So
got it.
That's it.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you for letting me talk like that. I feel like sometimes we don't get to talk as much about that curation side of collecting. So I think
people want to. You bet. People want to know what you have. People want to know what you want to collect. It's not just about buy. We can talk about the status of the hobby and the market. There's a lot of places to hear about that. But talking about the cards we're keeping that we love, the reason we do it, right? There's a reason we do it. Though that's exciting. I think a lot of people want to know what other people collect and want to know what they value, right? And it's not always, and as I've learned going through the show, it's not what you think it's going to be. It's not going to be the most expensive card. It's rarely that. It's actually more often the sentimental card, the card that matters to someone more, right? It's the card it's that 90 leaf Griffey for me. It's not worth a whole lot, right? But it's the card that I thought was cool when I was like 10, And so I put it in this little, hard case, and it's been in it since I was 10, right? And then I pull it out, and it's not going to grade high, but I still took such good care of it because I thought it was so special, right? That's important. And people have cards like that they talk about and they highlight, which is pretty neat. So yeah, it's exciting. Well, thank you so much once again, and for showing more cards. Unless you have more cards you want to show me.
I'm good. Thank you, Dennis. Don't ask me that. We could be here forever.
We'll be here forever. All right. No, I want to ask. Anyway, no, I appreciate you taking the time. It's been wonderful. Round two. You and I have talked for about 2 hours now, I think.
Yep.
All told. But it's been wonderful getting to know you and your collection and what you do in the hobby, and very excited for what you're doing and with these other people we got to talk about too. I think that's great. I'm glad we got to highlight them. This is the PC Collect. This is a collector series, PC Journey. I am DPZ. Follow Stephanie at Mama Breaks. Check out our break page, and you can check out Luca Nation Network as well. Follow and like everywhere else. Thanks, appreciate it. You have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.
With nearly 40 years as the most trusted resource for collectors, dating back to the first Beckett magazine in 1984, Beckett has been the brand that bridges generations of the hobby. We're happy to be partnering with Beckett and look forward to keeping you all updated on the big things happening at the company in 2023. Beckett. It's the name you know and the name you can trust.